Okay, so I wanted to welcome everyone to this webinar, and this is Neil, the COO of PracticeWeb, and we have Amber, our Client Success Manager, with us. So I wanted to thank everyone for joining this important webinar on filling your schedule with PracticeWeb texting, which we also call PW Connect. This is really an unprecedented and difficult time for everyone. We're with you on that. And our mission has always been to help your office thrive. So this is just another example of how we want to do that. So what we're doing here is sharing some amazing ways to get you back up and running with as many appointments as possible. PW Connect texting is really the best way to announce your reopening, get patients scheduled and pre-screened, as well as answer any questions they may have. And we will take questions from you at the end of the webinar. You can simply click on the Q&A option you see on the left side to submit questions, and then we'll address those at the end. We'll also email everyone a recorded version of this webinar so you can share it with your team. So as you can see on this slide here, these are the 4 major topics we're going to cover. And now I'll turn it over to Amber to get right into that.
Great. Thanks so much, Neil.
Sure.
Okay, so everybody should be looking at the PracticeWeb now. So let's go ahead and get started with texting patients about your office's reopening. Texting is the best way to word out because unlike calling, mailing, or emailing, texts are really hard to ignore. So along with the date of your reopening, you'll want to mention any adjusted hours of operation and safety procedures. And with PW Connect, you can create a custom text template to send it to all of your patients. So let me go ahead and show you. So first, you're going to click on the PW Connect button right here at the top of PracticeWeb. And this will bring up your PW Connect application. So if you would like to customize your text templates, you're first going to click on the text templates here on the left. And this is where you can customize all the text you send to multiple patients, whether they're on demand or if they're automated. So for this particular one, the text message we're going to create right now, we're going to go ahead and click on the drop down here, and we're going to select marketing to patients by coverage type. So we're going to go ahead and click there. And when you click on this, it'll bring up an area where you can create a new template. So when I click on this button, now I can type in my text template name. And for this particular one, we're going to use office reopening. Now, here in the English template and Spanish template section, this is where you can type in your custom message. For this particular example, I'm going to copy and paste one that I've already typed up. So I'm going to go ahead and just paste this in here. Now, you see there's also a first name option where you can personalize this for your patients. And so they also know that, they're familiar and it's coming from you. And you can use these merge fields to have that information added. You can also use Google Translate to translate the message into Spanish. If you don't have somebody in your office who's fluent in Spanish, you can use Google Translate to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the example text that I also have here as well. So once you have typed in your custom text message, you can click on Add Template. And so now this template's ready to use. So now I'm going to click on the Marketing Campaigns tab here. And if you would like to send this text to all patients, click on the drop-down next to Coverage Type. And when you click on that drop-down, put the check mark in Check All. Now, if you only want to send this message to certain types of patients, like insurance patients, then of course you can select them by planning accordingly. So now we're going to select the message. So again, I'm going to click on the drop-down menu here. And let me see, let me refresh real quick. There we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and select the template that I just created. And we're going to click on Search Patients. So now this is a list of all of your patients that have a cell phone number entered into the Practice Web software. So you can see this has my welcome back message that we're reopening. And when I click the Send Campaign button, everyone in this list will get that text message. It's that simple to tell hundreds of patients that you're open, and it's much more effective than emailing, mailing, or calling. So now get ready to have patients text you back so they can get scheduled. So we're going to show you in a bit how to reply to those patients. Now that you've announced your reopening to all of your patients, it's time to target specific patients to get them scheduled quickly. These are patients that have previously canceled appointments due to the COVID-19, and there were recalls that are due, as well as planned treatment appointments. So first, let's go ahead and look at those canceled appointments. You can find them by going to your appointments list in Practice Web. That's here above the calendar. And then we're going to click on Unscheduled. Now, if you canceled any appointments or marked them as broken or unscheduled, they'll be here on your unscheduled list. If you want to make sure to include any broken appointments, you can put a check mark in the Include Broken Appointments check mark here. And you can also change by date range. So if you wanted to just go back to the point when you had to close your office due to the COVID-19, you could change that date here. And so once you click on Refresh, that'll bring up all of your canceled appointments since that date. Now, we're going to go ahead and click on the text button in the lower right. So anybody who had a cell phone entered again would be in this list based on that unscheduled. Now, you could again choose from your customized text templates. And I have a template here that I created. So this lets my patients know that we have now reopened and we're ready to reschedule their appointment. And then you can just click the Send Text button here in the lower right. Now, all of your text messages can be customized in the PW Connect module. So back in the PW Connect module, so again, we're going to go to Text Templates. And so now, depending on the message or the list that you're going to send, you can just click on the drop-down menu. And for example, the unscheduled where we just were, you can click on the unscheduled list and then just create new template. So you can also send mass text to patients on your recall list, your planned tracker list, and your ASAP list. So all of these lists have a way that you can very quickly and easily send text messages to let them know to reschedule. So we're going to quickly show you the recall list because I know recalls were one of those that had to be canceled rather quickly. So we want to make sure we contact these past due recalls and get them back on our schedule. So the same thing applies. You can pick your date range. You can go back to when your last recalls were due before you had to close your office. And then, of course, make sure to refresh your list. And then you can just click the text button down at the bottom. And again, you can choose from your customized messages. Now, if there's anybody that you need to exclude from receiving a text message, you can use this list or this check mark list here on the left side And just uncheck the boxes for any patients that you may not want to send a text message to. Maybe they already called you to schedule and you know and are familiar with them. So just make sure that you go through this list quickly. Anybody that has a check mark by their name will get a text when you click the send button in the lower right. And finally, you can also text patients with any planned treatment and remaining insurance benefits. You can go to the reports menu, and here under standard, so here you see the treatment plan manager. So the treatment plan manager will allow you to set your criteria. So you can choose based on the amount and benefits they have left. You can choose by their billing type, and you can also concentrate on maybe certain procedure types by the procedure code. So once you've set your criteria here for the patients you want to contact, you just click on the Create List button. Okay, so now this is a list of all of my patients that have an outstanding treatment plan, and according to what we have in the software, enough insurance benefits to cover this treatment. So now I'm going to click on the text button. And just like before, I can pick and choose from my list, and I can also choose from my customized templates. Now, when it comes to the on-demand texting, please note that you can only send one mass text message to each appointment list per day. And this is to avoid the same patients getting bombarded with multiple texts in the same day.
Yeah, Amber, I just wanted to chime in here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, this is, I just wanted to tell everyone these targeted text messaging features are really powerful. This is the best thing you can do to fill your schedule. So I really want to underline and highlight that. There's a lot of power to that. And as Amber showed, you can customize all your messages. If nothing else, I would really try to do this targeted text messaging, even if you decide not to announce it to everyone. Definitely focus on your recall patients, the appointments that were canceled, your plan tracker list, the treatment plan manager list, all of those, even the ASAP list where patients wanted to come in to be seen sooner. So that was a great demo on that. So I'll turn it back over to Amber.
Great. Thank you very much for that input, Neil. And that's absolutely true because the people on those lists were on your calendar prior to your office having to close. So you definitely want to reach out to them as quickly as possible to get them back on your schedule. So now let's talk about the replies. So with the texting back and forth with patients who reply to your mass text, when they send a text message back to you, you will get a notification here at the top of your Practice Web software. Now, since this isn't a live database, I do have an example here to show you. So when you click on the arrow here, let me go ahead and pull up the patient here. Okay, so you see here where it says new messages. When a patient replies back to you, you will actually get to see that right within Practice Web, and here's an example. So the message that you sent to your patient will be in this white block with the black text. Your patient's replies will be in red text. So when you are ready to respond to this message, you can do it right here through Practice Web. So I do have some examples of templates that you can use to help you respond quickly to those patients. So let's say that Mrs. Smith here decided to reply back, I would like to schedule my appointment. Down here in the lower right corner, you could type in your text message, or you can use a customized template to help you quickly respond. You can single right click in this box. I'm sorry, guys. All right, so, and then you click on Insert Quick Note. And here you can see some templates that I've already created here. If you would like to create your own templates, you can simply click the Add button down here at the bottom of the screen, and then put in the abbreviation. The abbreviation should be kept relatively short, because when you want to use these templates, you can also type the abbreviation, and you don't want to type something that's really long. And then you put your template in the large note box here. So I can either click on the template and click OK, or I can type question mark and then whatever my abbreviation is and have it automatically populate for me. So once I've typed my reply to my patient, I can just click on the Send Text button. And so you can have live two-way texting to your patients right from within Practice Web. Another great thing about that two-way texting as well is not only can you see the record of those texts here under the Read Messages section, but all of your text communication with your patients can also be found in the communication log. So the last topic we wanted to cover is sending a COVID-19 screening questionnaire to patients with upcoming appointments. Since pre-screening is recommended by the ADA and other organizations, you can send a text message to your patients with a link, and they can fill it out paperlessly. So to do this, first create the COVID-19 screening form in the Sheets framework. You can do that by going to Setup, Sheets, and here's a form that we created earlier. So you can use any form that you want, but what we can do is we can provide you with this form here that we created. We'll send you an email with it after the webinar today. Now, after your form is ready, it's time to create a web form. And what this allows you to do is include the form with your automated appointment confirmation text, because when you schedule your appointments, PW Connect will automatically send an appointment confirmation text. You can also put these forms on your website, or you can email them to your patients. And when they submit this form, you can directly import that form into their chart in Practice Web. So let's look at the confirmation text option. So we're going to go ahead and open up our PW. And underneath text templates, we're going to go ahead and click on the automated text. So under message type, just make sure that you choose your appointment confirmation. And here, again, you can customize your confirmation message.
Amber, do you want to show them how to create that link first for the web form?
Absolutely, we can do that.
Yeah, let's do that first.
Let's go ahead and to create the link, we're going to go to Tools, and we're going to go to Web Forms. And here under Web Forms, there's a setup option. And then you click on Add here in the lower left. And what this will do is it'll allow you to select any forms you would like to create a link for, again, to text message to your patients, post on your website, or send by email. And then once the link is created, which you can see I have my example here, you can just right-click and copy that to your clipboard. That will allow you to put the link in the text message that I'm about to show you. It'll allow you to email that link to your website designer, and you can also put it in an email template that you send to your patients. Okay, so now that we know how to create those links, let's show you where to put them. So here in the text templates, so again, where you're on the automated text option, and of course we're doing appointment confirmation because this is going to automatically go out when we're also confirming the appointments. So you can customize this message, but since the appointment confirmations will automatically update the appointment confirmation status, make sure you put a reply with a C so that way the patient knows to confirm. And then you can also ask them to submit your COVID-19 screening form before they come in for their appointment, and you have the link that you copied and you just pasted. Now, when it comes to your text message, we can work with you on creating the template, but you just want to make sure that whatever you customize, it's within the 300 character limit here. So once you've updated those templates, now you can just click on Update Template, and you're done. So now when your patient gets the confirmation text message and they submit that screening form, you'll be able to import them on a daily basis. So if I go to the Tools menu here, in the morning, you would just go to Web Forms. And then you can change the date. And so, for example, here's an example of a form that I created yesterday. Okay, so on the Retrieve New Forms, anybody who filled their form out online or via text, their forms will show up here. And they will automatically populate into the patient's chart module as well as their forms. So let me go ahead and show you how that imports. So here's a record of that form. And if I wanted to view the form, I could just double click and I could see the patient's responses and if any action needs to be taken. A record of these forms are also kept in their chart module, so you can see them in their progress notes section. And then you can decide whether they are eligible to reschedule their appointment or not based on your questionnaire. So now that I've shown you how PW Connect can help you communicate with your patients to reopen, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Neil.
Thank you, Amber. That was really great demo of everything. And there's a lot of power and features in the texting. We just try to cover the highlights of it, but there's a lot more you can do than even what we showed. So just really explore that, and our support team is always available to help you with that. I'm going to mention a few more important things here, and then we'll turn it over for questions. And you can submit your questions in that Q&A box. So we will look at that. Amber will start looking at that right now, but we'll look at that when we get to the Q&A. So the few things I wanted to mention: if anyone on this webinar does not have PW Connect texting, but they see the powerful features in that, we are offering a free 30-day trial right now. And after the trial is complete, you only pay $69 a month. Our regular price is $99 a month, so you save about $360 a year on that. It is a month-to-month sign-up, so it's really no risk there. And we're going to waive the setup fee that's normally charged, the $199 setup fee for that. So it's a good time to get PW Connect. Two other things I want to mention are, we do have a pay by text feature, which we did not cover today. We will try to send out an email on this, but a pay by text is really, really good in this situation because we're living in a new normal now, I think, as we're coming back to reopening our dental offices. And one thing that we really want to focus on is contactless interactions as far as possible. So one of those interactions would be payment. So with our pay by text option, you can, even while the patient's right in the office, you can send them a text to pay their amount due that day from the payment screen in the account module. And that will allow them to just simply pay with their credit card. As long as you're signed up with Pay by Text or ProPay, you can use this feature, and it's a free sign up, and we can show you how to do that in the email. But they can basically pay using their cell phone. So now they're not touching your signature pad. They're not handing you their credit card and you're touching their credit card. You can really do a contactless payment method. So that's really, really great that it's very easy to use and very easy to sign up from right within PracticeWeb. So we'll send out an email on that pretty soon. And then the second thing is we do have a email marketing option that we just introduced about a month or two ago. And so if you want to do mass email marketing, like your announcement for reopening, excuse me, we can have you get that going as well. It's called PW Newsletter. We'll send you an email on that. And I think it's only $10 a month for that. So it's a really inexpensive option if you want to add email marketing, if you're already using PW Connect. So with those few announcements, I want to turn it over to Q&A. And Amber, if you want to start looking at those, answer those questions, we can go over them. Starting with, I see one that's, how can we focus specifically on the patients who were canceled due to the pandemic? So Amber, if you want to answer that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Neil. So I'm going to open up PracticeWeb again so we can make sure to answer those questions. Now, as far as focusing specifically on appointments who were canceled due to the COVID-19, when you cancel an appointment, we do recommend utilizing the unscheduled feature. And so when you right-click on an appointment, I'm going to go ahead and create an appointment quickly here so I can show you exactly how to do that. So let's just go ahead and say we have an appointment here. When you cancel, you ideally want to right-click and send to the unscheduled list. You can also mark them as broken if you don't plan on filling in that time slot. I know, unfortunately, a lot of appointments had to be canceled with short notice. But the idea behind utilizing the unscheduled is that when it does come time for you to follow up on these appointments, you can, again, use the appointments list that's right here in the upper right of your appointment module, and then use the unscheduled list. And this is that list that we had shown you earlier in the webinar. So again, you can choose by date range. So based on the date of the original appointment, you can choose by date range and then send a text message. Now, if you hadn't used that feature during the point when your office was closed, you do have the option to go to the reports menu, and then you can pull up an appointments report. So if maybe you just left the appointments on your list hoping to follow up on them later, you can just come to your appointments report, and you do have the option of text messaging those people individually and using a template to do so.
The other thing I want to say there, Amber, is even if they didn't send it to the unscheduled list, as long as they broke the appointment, as you showed earlier, you can still pull those up in the unscheduled list. You just have to check that box for broken appointments. So maybe your team in the office didn't send it to the unscheduled list, but if they at least broke them to show that this was a missed appointment, then this will also still show up here. So you don't have to worry as long as either one of those two things was done, broken or unscheduled list.
Correct.
So that's the answer to that question. The next question I can answer, is there a limit on the number of texts that can be sent per month? There's no limit. What we do is with our plan, we normally it's $69 a month, and that includes up to 1,500 outgoing texts. All the incoming texts that you're going to get through two-way texting are free, the incoming ones from your patients, but the outgoing, it's 1,500. Any text up after 1,500, it's simply 4 cents a text. And if you're getting a few or many appointments out of this, no matter what you pay on that, it's going to be a huge return on investment. We're talking 10 to 1, 100 to 1 return on your investment. And that's one thing that we always want you to keep in mind, is that this is a very effective way to get appointments scheduled and to boost your production. So paying 4 cents a text in the grand scheme of things is nothing. I mean, it's minuscule. So I wouldn't really worry too much about that. I would just do what you think is going to work. And we went over all these great methods to target certain patients, and if you want to announce to everyone, that's great too. Just do what you think you need to do in the office. you're going to get a lot of production and appointments from that, and it's going to pay for itself 100 times over. So I wouldn't be too worried about that limit or that plan amount. And there's no real hard limit on how many. You can send as many as you want. And then the next question, is the questionnaire for COVID-19 attached to the appointment confirmation appointment text, or do I have to send 2 texts? And that's exactly what we were showing earlier. So Amber, if you want to pull up that text template again for the appointment confirmation text. So if you see on that, it's the link is part of that text, so you don't have to send 2 separate ones. And the great thing about this is it's completely automated, so your office doesn't even have to think about it or make sure you're sending this to everyone on a daily basis. It's automatically going to go out with your confirmation texts, which are automated. So that's answer that question. Last question I see here is, can we have a date range for the unscheduled appointments? And that's absolutely correct. You can. So Amber, if you want to go back to the unscheduled list,
Sure.
you can see there that there's a date range at the top, so you can filter that however you want. So like Amber mentioned, you can go back to, let's say, March 1st. Let's say you closed your office March 1st. You can go back to March 1st and then do it up to today, and that'll capture everything that was canceled between those dates. So that's, I think, the answer for that question. Last thing I want to mention, since we're on appointment list, one thing to remember about recalls is that you may have recall appointments that you would have otherwise scheduled, but because you were closed, you didn't end up scheduling them. So that's not going to be captured in your unscheduled list. So you should also separately look at your recall list. So let's say there were some recalls due in April, but you were closed since March. Now you want to capture those April appointments. They're not going to be ones that were canceled. So you want to text those recalls due as of April as well. So that's a reason why you also want to use the recall list in that section. And I see another question here. Can you review how the links to patient filled out goes into their chart? So yes, we can review that again. So if the patient submits the form for COVID-19 questionnaire, then you simply go to Tools, and Amber can show that, Tools, and then Web Forms at the bottom. And then this is where you retrieve those forms. So once you click on that.
One moment, Neil. It
Sure,
looks like I've got a little bit of a webinar delay here, and I don't want
That's
anyone
okay.
to miss any information.
It'll come up, yeah. It'll come up in a sec. But yeah, you simply click on that Tools and Web Forms, and yeah, there it is. And so you make sure your date range is correct. So let's say you're checking it on a daily basis in the morning, which is a good practice. Then you don't really have to change that date range. It's going to default to today's date. But if you want to go back, you can do that and just click on Retrieve New Forms. So put in the dates if you need to. Otherwise, just go for those dates. Click Refresh if you're changing the dates. Otherwise, it won't update that. And then finally, click on Retrieve New Forms up in the upper right. And that will bring up all the forms. Once you do that retrieve new forms, it's automatically going to be in all of those patients' individual records. So you don't have to do an extra step after that. And if you want to access those forms, as Amber showed, you can just go to the Forms button there at the top, which is always there for the selected patient, or you can go into that patient's chart and it'll also show up in the Progress Notes section. So that's how you get the forms into the chart. So I don't see any other questions at this time, and we'll close up the Q&A. We did want to say, best of luck with your reopenings. It's a very testing time for everyone. So we're right there to hold your hand. Our mission is to help you thrive. So please do contact our support team at this number that you see on the slide, 800-845-9379, select option 2. You can also email us at support@practice-web.com. And with that, we'll end this webinar. We really look forward to helping your office thrive. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good one. Thank you.